Sometimes dreams are the wings that take us to new heights. But when those dreams overshadow reality, they can become chains that bind us, dragging us into darkness. This story is about how ambition and expectations turned a happy marriage into a nightmare, and how dreams, when left unchecked, can kill the very reality we cherish. In November 2015, Karan was invited to Rupali's house to meet her family for the first time. This meeting had been arranged after Karan's mother connected with Rupali's family through a matrimony advertisement. The families saw great potential in the match. Following their initial family meeting, Karan and Rupali met a few more times to get to know each other better. These meetings allowed them to understand each other's dreams, ambitions, and personalities, leading to their eventual engagement. Karan and Rupali had a love that others admired. They were both successful, working prestigious jobs in multinational companies. Their engagement had been a joyful occasion, with their families sharing in the excitement of their union. Karan began dreaming of starting a family, imagining himself as both a loving husband and a devoted father. Rupali, on the other hand, was equally excited. She envisioned a life full of travel, exploring the world, and one day owning a big house. On February 2016, the marriage ceremony was a grand affair, a spectacle of opulence and grandeur that left everyone in awe. A lavish celebration of their supposed love, filled with laughter, music, and an air of festivity that seemed almost magical. Rupali's diamond ring sparkled under the chandeliers, catching the light in the eyes of every guest, a symbol of their union. Karan envisioned a successful career, a big home, and a future filled with laughter and children dreaming of a home filled with joy and the pitter-patter of little feet. Rupali was expected to share his dream that they were building a future together, brick by brick. Karan and Rupali focused on their careers, building a big house and buying a new car. In just 2 years, Rupali was promoted in her insurance job, successfully climbing the corporate ladder, while Karan thrived in his sales career, earning promotions every year. They traveled the world together, enjoying the company of friends, attending parties, and celebrating family festivities. They seemed like the perfect couple, each with big dreams and matching drive. Karan had begun talking about starting a family after their marriage. He imagined himself as a father, excited at the thought of children. But Rupali had other plans. Rupali was deeply invested in her career, afraid that motherhood would stall her progress. She saw children as a hindrance, an obstacle to her ambition, something that would hold her back from achieving her goals. Every conversation about children made her more determined to focus on work, and she secretly started taking birth control pills to ensure her career stayed on track. Karan was doing very well professionally. He was on the path to becoming a leading figure in his field. Rupali climbed the corporate ladder with ruthless efficiency. Karan's success brought him immense satisfaction. Months passed, and Karan eagerly anticipated starting a family. His mother, along with Rupali's parents, also began adding pressure, urging the couple to have a child. Time and again, both Karan's and Rupali's parents would hint at having a baby, talking about how they would love to play with and enjoy the company of their future grandchild. Karan was especially excited, often imagining what it would be like to watch his child grow, envisioning joyful moments and milestones as a father. The couple had been married for more than 3 years, and the absence of children was becoming a point of concern. Karan, unaware of Rupali's birth control, grew more frustrated with each passing month. The pressure mounted on Rupali. Karan confronted Rupali, accusing her of avoiding the topic of children. He began to question Rupali's reluctance. He sensed a distance between them, a coldness he couldn't explain. Rupali deflected his questions. She made excuses. She promised they would start a family soon. In the heat of the argument, Rupali revealed that she had been taking birth control pills for the past 6 months. This revelation shattered Karan's trust. He felt betrayed, and the once joyful marriage was now marred by constant arguments. For the next month, the tension grew. They avoided each other, and when they did speak, it often ended in fights. In December 2020, just when people were juggling with social distancing, Rupali went to Karan and requested him to think about their life. She expressed how happy they were without a child, and questioned why they should bury themselves under the weight of added responsibility. Since Rupali was unable to convince Karan to reconsider their life without children, she made the decision to leave him and move on. She asked Karan for a divorce, hoping to end their marriage and pursue her own path. Karan firmly told Rupali that she would need to prioritize their family and made it clear that he would not agree to a divorce, leaving her feeling trapped in the marriage. Rupali, feeling overwhelmed and tired of the constant pressure and discussions about having a child, became confused and tense. She began applying for jobs in different locations, seeking a way out of the situation. The playful banter turned into awkward silences. The cracks in their facade were widening, the candles flickered, casting long shadows on their faces, adding an eerie ambience to the already tense atmosphere. Karan felt a wave of anger wash over him, a mix of betrayal and heartbreak. He had been lied to, manipulated. The realization hit him like a ton of bricks. The illusion of their perfect love was gone, replaced by a harsh and bitter reality. Both avoided each other, and when they did speak, it often ended in fights. Then Rupali suggested they take a short vacation together to rekindle their bond. Karan agreed, hopeful that things could return to normal. His mother left for her hometown to take care of some renovations, and Karan and Rupali began packing for their staycation. A week later, when Karan's mother returned, she found Rupali at home, packing for a business trip. When asked about Karan's whereabouts, Rupali casually mentioned that he had left for a work-related trip and should return soon. Days passed, and neither Karan nor Rupali's phones were reachable. Both families grew concerned and decided to file a missing persons report with the police. Meanwhile, a group of residents in the neighborhood gathered near the drain outside the apartment complex. There they made a chilling discovery: human remains. The police were called and forensic experts were called. 2 cases in the same area raised questions. Karan disappeared without a trace. He didn't show up for work that day, leaving his colleagues puzzled and concerned. He didn't answer his phone, which was unusual. His car was missing from its usual spot. His apartment, however, remained untouched, as if he had just stepped out for a moment. After a week, forensic experts confirmed the worst. The remains belonged to a man. Upon confirmation, DNA results matched Karan. His body had been dismembered and disposed of. The police now turned their attention to Rupali. She had left town and was working in a different city, having resigned from her previous job a month earlier. Rupali was called and she answered the police's questions with practiced ease. She maintained her innocence, shedding crocodile tears that seemed almost real. She portrayed herself as the victim, a woman torn apart by the loss of her beloved. Rupali was stated that she and Karan had mutually agreed to separate. She claimed that he had left her, and she simply moved on with her life. The police intensified their investigation, leaving no stone unturned. They scrutinized Rupali's every move, searching her apartment thoroughly. They dug deeper into her past, looking for any clue that might explain Karan's disappearance. Police identified witnesses who reported seeing Karan and Rupali together during the time Karan was supposedly away for work. Neighbors recalled hearing loud arguments from their apartment just days before Karan disappeared. Upon further investigation, the police discovered that Rupali had met her cousin, Ranbir, on the days of Karan's disappearance. Ranbir had dropped her off at the airport the following day. When questioned, Ranbir stated that he had merely helped Rupali with packing and offered her a ride to the airport. He insisted that he had no knowledge of Karan's whereabouts and was only assisting Rupali with her travel plans. Ranbir maintained that everything seemed normal and he had no reason to suspect anything unusual at the time. Rupali was the main suspect, but with no solid evidence or confession, the investigation seemed stalled. Determined to find the truth, the police decided to review all CCTV footage again. They expanded their search to nearby shops, and, in doing so, discovered footage of Ranbir purchasing a butcher knife from a local store a week before Karan's disappearance. This crucial piece of evidence was enough to link him to the case. With the new findings, the police confronted Ranbir. Ranbir remained calm during his questioning, asserting that he had purchased the butcher knife for his own work. He explained that he had been preparing for some home improvement projects and needed the knife for various tasks. Despite the police's probing, he maintained that he had no idea about Karan's disappearance or any connection to Rupali's actions. insisting that their meeting had been innocent and unrelated to any wrongdoing. Following Ranbir's calm assertion that he needed the knife for his own work, the police decide to verify his alibi. They check his phone records and find that he was in contact with Rupali on the day Karan went missing, which raises suspicions. That evening, after returning from a family vacation, Mr. Sharma, Karan's neighbor, met with the police. He had been away for the past few weeks and was unaware of Karan's disappearance until someone informed him about it. Curious and concerned, he approached the officers and shared what he had witnessed. Mr. Sharma recounted how, just before leaving for vacation, he had seen Rupali and Ranbir, Rupali's cousin, acting strangely near the drain. He noted the time and how they appeared nervous, constantly looking around as they dumped garbage bags into the drainage system. The police returned to Rupali and Ranbir with Mr. Sharma's statement, indicating that they had witnesses who could place them at the scene of the crime. The pressure mounted as they presented the new evidence gathered from the drain, leading to Rupali's eventual confession. Faced with the overwhelming evidence and the implication that Ranbir might turn on her if pushed, Rupali breaks down. She admits that while Ranbir helped her, she acted alone in the actual murder, feeling it was the only way to escape Karan's pressure to start a family. In her confession, Rupali explains that she felt suffocated by Karan's expectations and their family's pressure for a child. She had planned the murder meticulously and staging her own disappearance to escape the consequences. Rupali's confession unveiled the depth of her premeditated crime. In the months leading up to the murder, she had asked Karan for a divorce, wanting to move on with her life and career. Frustrated and feeling trapped, Rupali saw no way out. Days before the murder, she purchased plastic sheets, knowing what she intended to do. Desperate and determined, she knew she needed help, someone she could trust. Rupali confided in Ranbir about her struggles and the suffocating pressure Karan and their families were placing on her to have a child. Ranbir, though hesitant at first, was swayed by Rupali's distress and desire to be free from her marriage. She convinced him that helping her was the only way to end her misery. The siblings discussed the details of the plan. Rupali would handle the murder itself, but she needed Ranbir's assistance to cover her tracks. Ranbir bought a butcher knife together and promised to help her dispose of the evidence after the deed was done. On the night of the crime, after one last heated argument where Karan once again refused to let go of their marriage and forced her to consider having a child, Rupali drugged his drink. With cold hands and a heart devoid of emotion, Rupali silently wrapped her fingers around Karan's neck. It took only a few minutes, but to her, it felt like an eternity. Karan's body went limp and silence filled the room. The deed was done. After the murder, Ranbir came over to help Rupali dismember Karan's body. Together, they wrapped the remains and, under the cover of night, dumped them into the drainage system, thinking no one would ever discover the truth. She made sure the remains were dumped in a place where they wouldn't be easily found. Her next step was to quietly leave the city and start fresh, far away from the crime. Her new job in another city was her perfect escape. She had already submitted her resignation to her current employer and packed her bags, ready to leave the life she had built with Karan behind. On the day she was planning to leave, Karan's mother unexpectedly returned from her trip. Rupali wasn't prepared for this. Her heart raced, but she quickly composed herself. She knew that if she panicked, everything would unravel. Thinking on her feet, Rupali fabricated a story. She told Karan's mother that Karan had left for a work trip and would be gone for a few days. Rupali herself had a business trip coming up and needed to leave for the airport in a few hours. Karan's mother, tired from her journey and unsuspecting, didn't question Rupali's words. Within hours, Rupali left the house with her bags, making sure that nothing seemed out of place. She had a flight to catch, and she was determined to put as much distance between herself and the crime as possible. With Rupali's confession and the corroborating evidence against Ranbir, the police closed the case. Rupali is charged with premeditated murder, while Ranbir, having been an accessory, was charged with aiding and abetting murder, as well as tampering with evidence. His involvement in helping Rupali after the murder and his attempt to cover up the crime ensured that he would face significant legal consequences. As the case came to a close, the lead detective emphasized the importance of community vigilance, noting how a single witness can make a difference in solving a crime. The tragic outcome served as a reminder of how dreams can turn into nightmares, and ultimately, crime never pays. Karan's life was cut short by the very person who once promised him a future, leaving behind a community grappling with the fallout. Karan's mother grieved the loss of their son, their dreams shattered, their lives forever altered. Rupali's family struggled to come to terms with her actions. They grappled with guilt and shame. As the investigation closed and Rupali and Ranbir faced justice, lingering questions remained. Why couldn't Karan convince Rupali that they could have had both, a family and successful careers? He had been willing to support her, to share the responsibilities of raising a child. Was his dream of fatherhood so overpowering that he couldn't see how trapped she felt? Rupali, too, had other options. She could have simply left Karan and moved on with her life without resorting to murder. Divorce was on an option, and leaving him without informing anyone would have been easier than carrying out such a cold-blooded plan. But in the end, desperation clouded her judgment, and she chose a path of no return. In their pursuit of conflicting dreams, reality became a casualty. Karan's desire for a family and Rupali's fear of losing her career turned their once promising life into a nightmare. In the end, both lost everything. Found this story compelling? Like, share, and subscribe for more gripping real-life mysteries. Your support keeps the suspense going. Click the link in the description to keep the stories coming.